President Broussard, we're live.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. I have 8:32. If you don't mind, Nick, or whoever would like to do a roll call.
We're live.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. I have 8:30.
President Broussard, I can go ahead and do the roll call for you.
Okay, go for it.
President Broussard,
Here.
Vice President Cavello, I see him.
Here.
Still muted. Thanks, sir. Commissioner Bowl. Commissioner Bowl is absent. Commissioner Schiffer.
Here.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Ritholler.
Here.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Cura.
Here.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Francisco.
Here.
Commissioner Wildcat. I do not see Commissioner Wildcat. President Broussard, just so you know, Commissioner Torgerson sent me an email yesterday evening. He had a prior appointment that he couldn't get out of.
Do we have a quorum?
President Broussard, we do have a quorum.
Okay. So would you like to do anything as far as the welcome goes? I can say welcome everybody to this special meeting.
President Broussard, I can do the welcome.
Okay.
Welcome to the August 13th, 2024 special meeting of the Wyoming Gaming Commission. The primary mission of the Wyoming Gaming Commission is the protection of the wagering public and the health, safety, and welfare of the participants in all lawful gaming and parimutuel activities. Individuals who wish to address the commission will be recognized and called on by the president to speak. After the president has recognized you, please clearly state your name and the name of the organization you represent prior to addressing the commission. All comments, questions, and responses must flow through the president by addressing the president each time you wish to speak. This procedure ensures an orderly flow of discussion during the commission meeting. All meetings of the governing body of an agency are public meetings open to the public except as otherwise provided pursuant to Wyoming Statute 16.4.403A. This meeting is being held via Zoom and is available to watch live on the Gaming Commission YouTube channel. The commission may open an executive session pursuant to Wyoming Statute 16.4.405A. Inclusion on the agenda does not necessarily constitute a commission action.
Thank you, Nick. If everyone would like to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll get this going. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda, today's agenda, item number 2. Do I have a motion?
President Broussard,
Yes, sir.
I would make such a motion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would second.
Commissioner Ritholler and then Commissioner Cavello. Any discussion? Not hearing any, we'll call the vote. All in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. All right. Now that's done, we will move to item 3A, which is a request for an appeal. Michael McKell, See the Sun docket 240051, Wyoming bread suspension. So we're going down through the numbers. In this matter, item 2, would all persons offering testimony in this matter please rise? Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now before the commission, so help you God? I didn't hear the I do's, but probably muted.
I do, sir.
Okay, thank you. Agent Rinker, would you like to have the opening statement or move directly into the presentation of the grounds for suspension?
President Broussard, I'd waive my opening and just go into the evidence of the case.
Okay. All right, we're moving to number 4, and it's Mr. McKell, would you like to have an opening statement or move directly into the presentation of your argument for appeal?
President Broussard, on Mr. McKell's behalf, he is unable to attend today. He
Okay,
apologizes for that. He is currently in France, doing some stuff with the Olympics. He does
okay,
have a statement to make, and I can make that for him at the end.
okay, so we're gonna move on to are we moving to item number 5 on our list? Agent Ranker? Is there any additional evidence you would like to submit for the record?
President Broussard,
Yeah.
a bit about myself. I'm special agent with the Wyoming Gaming Commission. I'm a certified professional peace officer in the state of Wyoming. On March 21st, 2024, I was in Uinta County, specifically at 2052 Wasatch Road. I was checking on several mares at that location. When I arrived, I could only locate 2 of the mares, so I called the caretaker, Caitlin Pence, and I spoke to Mrs. Pence about 1:14 p.m. and she told me where I could locate the other mare or one of the mares that was in the barn. But however, in regards to See the Sun, who is owned by Mr. McKell, that horse had foaled out and was moved about a week prior to an unknown location. When I returned back to the office, I checked to make sure to see if there was any movements pursuant to Wyoming bred rules. I could not locate any based upon Wyoming bred rule chapter 8 section 6 Roman numeral number 6 and capital C. The owner of the mare or the horse in the Wyoming bred must notify us within 24 hours prior to movement unless there's an emergency. We didn't get any notification within a reasonable time regarding any emergencies on that horse. Therefore, I sent Mr. McKell a suspension letter for See the Sun.
Thank you. Is there a person representing Mr. McKell who has questions for Agent Ranker? Not seeing any. Commissioners, are there any questions for Agent Ranker?
I have none.
Okay, commissioners, you guys can unmute for the moment if you have questions or concerns regarding this part. So if we don't see any, I don't see any at the moment, I'll give you a second. No hands, no questions. So Mr. McKell asked SAS Laramundi to give a short explanation of his absence and a few words to the commissioners on his behalf. So if you have that, Nick, you can go for it now.
Thank you, President Broussard. Mr. McKell again apologizes for his absence. He had a arrangement with the Olympics, so he wasn't able to be here. He wanted to apologize. He said this was an oversight on his part. He takes full responsibility for, the oversight of the rules. Really, for him, he would like to just really plead for mercy on the suspension. Suspension's a 2-year suspension, and he's really hoping that there's a way that you all would be willing to reduce that.
Thank you. Agent Ranker, would you like to give a closing statement?
Mr. President,
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I apologize for interrupting. As a procedural matter, it might be appropriate, or it'd be appropriate to admit the exhibits into evidence. It'd be exhibits AA through.
Okay, yeah, so we have the incident report marked Exhibit AA. Do you want me to say something formally to introduce them into evidence? Is that what you like?
Yeah, I think just formally, just declare that those are admitted into evidence.
Okay. We have the incident report marked Exhibit AA, the equine inspection form marked Exhibit BB or Bravo Bravo, copy of the rule change notification marked Exhibit Charlie Charlie or CC, notice of status change Exhibit Delta Delta or DD, and a statement from Brandy Koltiska, Wyoming Bred Administrator, marked Exhibit EE or Echo Echo. Anything further on that, Mr. Kaler?
And then I believe the licensee also had 2 exhibits, Exhibits A and Exhibits B.
Okay. Thank you.
And so those would need admitted as well.
And are they admitted or do I need to say that?
Yeah, you would need to admit those as
Okay.
well.
So we'd like to enter Exhibit A, which is that Mr. McKell's license?
Yeah, President Broussard, that is his request for an appeal.
Oh, his request for an appeal. Okay. And Exhibit B, did you say? I don't have that on my form. And what is Exhibit B?
President Broussard, Exhibit B is a copy of invoices showing that the mayor was in the state
Okay.
at the time that it was pregnant.
Okay.
Invoices from the vet for foaling,
Okay.
etc.
Okay. So in regard to my only clarification question, Mr. Kaler, is the rule for the time of suspension is a must. Do we have latitude even if we wanted to?
Mr. President, under this rule, it's mandatory. It's not discretionary.
Okay. Just try to head off a question from the commission. So at this point, if you don't mind, we'll Agent Rinker, would you like to give a closing statement, please?
President Broussard, members of the commission, I believe my testimony along with Mr. McHill's statement accepting responsibility shows that the mayor was not in the state of Wyoming at the time of the check, and I'd ask for you guys to uphold the suspension.
Thank you. So, Michael, there's no, sorry, Mr. Kaler, there's no place in this part for a closing statement from Mr. McHell.
Mr. Chairman, since he's not available, I think we just rely upon what Mr. Laramendi passed along, and then the next step would be for the commission to consider a motion
Okay.
to uphold the proposed suspension.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, we'd entertain a motion to uphold the proposed suspension as set forth in the notice of status change dated March 21st, 2024.
Mr. President, Vice President Cavello, I would move that we uphold the suspension as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Kerr. At this point, we'll open up for any other questions or concerns regarding the motion only. Anything from the public, anything from the commissioners? Not seeing any hands, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Say, well, Commissioner Kaler, should we do a roll call vote on this?
Yeah, I believe some folks are on the phone, so yeah, Mr. President, a roll call vote may be appropriate.
Thank you. Nick, or do you have somebody who could do the roll call vote?
President Broussard, I can take care of that for you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kura,
Yes.
Commissioner Rithaller,
Yes.
Commissioner Schiffer,
Yes.
Vice President Cavello,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
President Broussard.
Yes.
President Broussard, that is 6 yes, 3 absent.
Thank you. Okay. We will now move on to item 3B on the agenda, which is a request for an appeal. Dr. Candace Carden, Taste of Cheyenne, docket number 24-0056, Wyoming bread suspension. Okay. Will all persons offering testimony in this matter please rise? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now before the commission, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Agent Ranker, would you like to give an opening statement or move directly to presentation and grounds for suspension?
President Broussard, this will be presented by Senior Inspection Specialist Warren.
Okay. Sorry, let me move to the right paper. All right. Specialist Warren, would you like to give an opening statement or move directly into the presentation for your grounds for suspension?
I would like to waive the opening statement and just move in directly to the evidence of the matter.
Thank you. Ms. Corden, would you like to have an opening statement or move directly into the presentation of your argument for appeal?
I have Casey Frome on the phone with me,
Okay,
and he will make the statements.
thank you.
Just a short opening statement. I'm Casey Frome, based out of Laramie, an attorney from Laramie. My opening statement would simply be for the commission to focus on the unreasonableness of this potential discharge of this horse from the commission. As the facts are, as the nuances of this case are presented, I think you'll understand why the position is taken. That it seems pretty unreasonable for this horse to be excluded from the commission.
Thank you. Okay, so Special Agent Warren, is there any additional evidence you would like to submit for the record? We have Exhibit Alpha Alpha, your incident report, Exhibit Bravo Bravo, notice of status change, Exhibit Charlie Charlie equine inspection document, Exhibit Bravo Delta Delta, notice of rule change.
President Broussard, I don't have any additional documentation to enter as evidence.
Okay,
And then, Mr. President, given that there's a counsel appearing, this would be the opportunity for him to provide any objection to those exhibits or the record.
okay. Ms. Corden or Mr. Fromm, do you have any questions?
I'd certainly have a clarification on the notice of appeal for the hearing. Within that notice of appeal, it says that the appeal was untimely filed. Just to give a quick overview of the time frame, April 11th is when the incident happened. I believe April 16th is when the notice was initiated and created. It was sent to Ms. Carden. Ms. Carden received that, signed for it on April 24th. Reached out to Brandy Koltiska on the 25th with a variety of questions. A, does an email count as a writing, right, according to the rules? Yes, that was the response back was yes. As well as B, the rules say you've got to have 5 days. Does 5 days mean from the date of the letter or 5 days from the date of the incident? Or excuse me, the date of receipt. And Brandy said from the date of receipt. And so the date of receipt was April 24th. The appeal was filed April 26th. So within 2 days of the notice received by Ms. Carden. So it is certainly a timely appeal which was filed. But that's all I would have to say on the evidence there.
Thank you. All right. We can now move into SIS. Warren, you may present your case.
Thank you, President Broussard, members of the commission. I've been in law enforcement since 1995, sworn peace officer since 1998. I'm currently employed at the Wyoming Gaming Commission as a senior inspection specialist. On April 11th at about 10:15 in the morning, I went to 2682 Highway 238 in Auburn, Wyoming for Wyoming broodmare check on Taste of Cayenne. There were other horses on the property, but I couldn't find a horse that matched the description or the picture that I had of Taste of Cayenne. So I called horse owner Candace Carden and left a message with her. About an hour and a half later, I received a call from Clint Frome, and he said that the Taste of Cayenne was moved about 4 miles down the road to Rick Hillstead's property. I let Mr. Frome know that or I asked him, he left a message first. I called him back shortly after that and asked him if he put in a transport notice for Taste of Cayenne, and he said he did not. So I let him know that the mare was going to be suspended. He respectfully argued about that, and Um, he did say that the horse was moved to Rick Hillstead's place, which is 5996 Bitter Creek Road in Afton. Well, I was there that afternoon about 3:30 p.m. and I did see Taste of Cayenne in Rick Hillstead's barn that day. I got back to the Gaming Commission office on and checked our transportation notice records on April 15th, and there was no transportation notice for Taste of Cayenne. I think that's about all the evidence that I have to present on that matter.
Thank you. Ms. Gordon or her representative, do you have any questions for SIS Warren?
No questions, but I do certainly have some points to make. And so whatever point you want me to bring those up, I certainly can.
Do you have additional evidence or do you have questions for SIS Warren?
And that was a question. I wasn't sure exactly how you want to proceed. The points I had to make, I could potentially enter into evidence. I'm not sure if we can share a screen to show the evidence or what the process would be in this situation.
Well, the next step we're going to do, if you don't have questions, we're going to let the commission ask questions and then you can introduce some evidence next step. That's
Sounds
okay.
good.
Okay, if you don't have questions, we'll ask the commission. Commissioners, do you have questions for SIS Warren?
I have none.
Okay, thank you. So now, Mr. Fromm, if you have additional evidence you'd like to submit for the record, we have a letter dated April 26, 2024, request for an appeal marked Exhibit A, and a letter from Clint Fromm, marked as Exhibit B.
And just to clarify there, Mr. President, I'm actually Casey Fromm. A lot of Fromms on this call. Clint is the person who held the horse.
Okay, Casey. Sorry, Casey. Mr.
No, that's fine. Lots of C's.
Yeah.
Yes, and what I would like to share is just the form that has been posted on the website. So as you are well aware, this rule changed in, I believe it was March of 23. So it's about a year old. It looks like that's what the appeals are all about, is this rule here of intrastate transport as opposed to interstate transport, which is what the rule has been for years and years, right? Basically since the creation. When someone goes to, or when someone went to post that accredited Wyoming bred transportation notification, they go to the website, and within that notification, up until a couple months ago, so at least a year and a little bit more since this rule has been created as well as viable, on that form, it says the expected date for the return to Wyoming is blank. Right. And so someone filling out this form would look at that and say, well, I'm not leaving Wyoming, so reasonably, I'm not sure that I'd need to fill out this form. Right. Notwithstanding the rule, of course, the rule says if you move the horse anywhere to the next pasture, you better let the commission know about this. But looking at this form, you look at that and you think, well, since it's not returning to Wyoming, it's not leaving Wyoming, I'm not sure that this form needs to be filled out. Now, this form is of course online. Ms. Carden was able to receive a copy of that for her clients because a lot of her clients are old and they don't know how to fill things out online. And so the copy she received in April still had this expected return to Wyoming is blank. Now, if you go to the commission's website and you go to fill that out, the form has been changed and it now states the expected date of return is blank, not return to Wyoming, but the expected date of return. So the point I'd like to make is either the commission, the office potentially wasn't aware of this issue. The office wasn't aware of the rule change. But the other point I'd like to make is, as you see from the three appeals today, this rule I don't think was very well publicized, and so people didn't know about it. If they did know about it, they go to make to request that transport or notification and make that request and say, well, it's not leaving Wyoming, so I'm not sure I need to submit this request. And so the point I would like to make is just the reasonableness of these things stacked on top of each other, right? The inspector did find this mare exactly where Clint Frome told him to be, just down the road 4 miles to get bred, right? Not outside of Wyoming. And especially with the fact that this program is Wyoming bred, right? That's kind of the gist of the program, is to ensure the horse is in Wyoming. From the rules, it says a Wyoming broodmare is a female horse used for breeding purposes, physically located within the borders of the state of Wyoming. And so that's been the focus of the program since inception, right? And so we have this rule change that says, okay, now make sure you just let us know where this mare is at all times, as opposed to the previous rule of in case it crosses state lines. And so that was the presumption that was that I would argue most people are under still, notwithstanding this rule has been in place, just for the fact that the paperwork hasn't caught up, right? The paperwork's a year behind, a year and some months behind. And it just doesn't seem it was educated. It just seems somewhat unreasonable to come in with this heavy-fisted hand with this rule change that most people don't know about. Whitey didn't know about it. There's a lot of people that have been very involved with the commission that had no idea about this rule change, okay, until this came about and Ms. Carden started making some phone calls. And so the plea would be to be reasonable in this situation. The horse was not outside of Wyoming. The horse was 4 miles down the road, exactly where as the inspector found, exactly where Mr. Frome said it was. So the horse on that day was found to be 4 miles down the road, right? Which is certainly well in line with the Wyoming broodmare program, just not exactly in line with the actual, well, we moved it from stall A to stall B and really didn't know based on the paperwork that we should file something that it was moved shortly down the road. And so that's the plea that would be made in this case, is for the commissioners to understand that it seems unreasonable to kick a horse out that never left Wyoming, that was simply down the road a short way, that was verified by the inspector. And so therefore we would ask that the horse remain in the program.
Thank you. So just to be clear, did you want to enter that farm into evidence?
If that's possible, and that's why I wasn't sure if we can share that on the screen, or what's the protocol for doing so.
And
But
that,
I've got both copies.
okay, and that would be Exhibit C or D or both. Mike?
Mr. President, I don't know that I've seen a copy of the form. Is there a way that that we could present that on the screen? I don't know.
President, excuse me, President Broussard, Mr. Kaler, I have it set up now to where Mr. Frome should be able to share his screen.
Okay, good.
Okay. So what I'm sharing now is the copy that has been around for years, correct? And note the expected date for the return to Wyoming is blank. And so according to the rules since basically inception of this program, this is the copy that has been available. Now, it was a bit of a struggle to get this from Brandy, because Brandy just said, hey, it's online, fill it out online, which Ms. Carden said, well, yeah, but I've got a lot of clients that will need to fill this out in person. So we got this again sometime around April. Candace, you could correct me.
I think it was the 29th. I have the email
Okay.
right here.
But it was sometime around April.
Oh no, it was on the 16th. It was on the day that we got the notice.
Okay.
It was Tuesday, April 16th. Brandy emailed it and it just says transport form, and that was the attachment.
And this was what was posted on the website. Since that time, sometime between April 16th and now, this paperwork has changed on the website to, and I've got the website pulled up so we can.
So that'll be, that we'll call that Exhibit C, Michael, is that all right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so then Exhibit D will be the next, the updated form.
Okay, and this is the current copy on the website. And so as you notice, one of the major changes is the expected date of return is blank.
Okay.
And so the paperwork finally caught up. And so again, it just seems somewhat unreasonable for someone to look at this previous paperwork and say, well, it's not going out of Wyoming. I'm not sure I need to submit the notice of transport. And now this is much more reasonable to look at this and say, okay, it's leaving and it's returning.
So did you guys look at this form prior to moving the horse and decide not to fill out the form? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't believe that's what happened. My principal argument is it seems like if someone did, that would be unreasonable. The rule was not known by either Miss Carden or Mr. Frome. Otherwise, if the rule was known about that, then they likely would have. But my point is that a person could easily be confused knowing the rule and then going to notify the transport and saying, well, wait a sec, I'm not moving it out of Wyoming. Where's the form for moving it inside Wyoming? Right. And now we have it. But my point would be just the confusion that could certainly cause. It just doesn't seem like, especially with the phone calls that have been made around, that this rule change, which is a significant rule change, as far as what the duty of the owners, it was not made known to the commission. And obviously, of course, ignorance is not any type of defense in criminal law or this whatever. But I would just ask that the commission look at the case, look at all the facts, look at the nuances, and come to a reasonable conclusion.
Thank you. So we'll now let SIS Warren, do you have questions regarding any of the comments that were just made from Mr. Frome or Ms. Carden?
President Broussard, I may, in your packet, it shows a section where Ms. Carden was sent an email, attention horsemen responsibility to know the rules. That was on October 16th, 2023. And it looks like she opened it on October 18th, 2023 at 10:43 a.m.
And that's our exhibit DD, notice of rule change, Delta
Yes.
Delta. Okay.
Yes.
Any more questions? Inspector Warren?
President Broussard, I don't have any more questions.
Okay. We'll now open it to the commission. Commissioners, do you guys have questions for Ms. Carden or Mr. Frome? Any questions, commissioners?
President Broussard.
Yes.
Commissioner Schiffer has his hand up.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Commissioner Schiffer, you may ask your question.
Thank you, President Broussard. Mr. Frome, would Ms. Carden like to provide testimony regarding her lack of knowledge of this rule change and or her reliance on the previous form, not the updated form?
I mean, if that question me, I guess we could ask Ms. Carden if she wants to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it shows that I opened that email, I can't argue with that. I probably get 100 emails a day and, open, click, go, and probably didn't read the whole thing. So I'm not saying that that the rule wasn't there. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying in the big picture, what's more important to the commission, that the horses are in Wyoming, because from my understanding from the inception of the program, which I've been around for too, the most important thing is making sure these horses stay in Wyoming, right? And so are we going to focus more on if the horse is actually in Wyoming, which she was, and the investigator found her the same day that we said she was in Wyoming, she was right where she should be. We're contributing to the program. We're trying to, breed more horses. We've been in this for a long time. So is that more important, or is paperwork more important? And again, going forward, now we know, but like Casey said, I had so many clients that have been bringing mares all over in Wyoming to get bred, and none of them knew this rule existed. I'm sure they probably got the same email I did. I mean, I don't know if they opened it, whatever. But I guess you guys know too how much information comes at people all the time. So we followed the letter of keeping the mayor in Wyoming, which for the past 10 plus years has been what the program's about, is keeping these horses in Wyoming. So I guess that's my big thing to focus on, is if the mayor was in Wyoming, the inspector found her in Wyoming, and the only problem is she didn't fill a form out. I feel like that could be a warning, like, hey, okay, this new rule is in effect. Next time you move the mayor, this needs to happen. Got it. Like, we'll never forget that. We got it. But it seems like since the rule of keeping her in Wyoming was not broken like at all, that a warning or something would be a more appropriate than having her suspended for 2 years and out of the program when she never left the state.
Okay, thank you. Again, do we have any other questions from the commission? I see a hand. Commissioner Ritholler, would you like to ask a question? Ms. Corden?
I don't know who I need to direct it to.
Ms. Corden?
What's that?
You can direct it to Ms. Corden unless you want to ask Mr. Fromm a direct question.
I would like to ask Agent Warren a question. Is that, or am I out of line with that?
No, go ahead.
Has anybody else filled this form out for a, as we would say, in-state move for breeding? Has it, or is it just haven't found any yet?
As far as my understanding, it's common that people know that they have to fill out the form when they move it from one domicile address to another. I can't really answer that. I don't have the paperwork to show how many people have moved from one domicile address to another one. But yes, we do get transport notices all the time for people moving mayors from even in the same county from one location to the other.
And then the other question I have, maybe somebody would like to elaborate on why the rule was put in place at the time, which was back in 2023. So, and that was the
Nick
as
or
well.
President
Yeah.
Broussard, Commissioner Ritholler. So this rule change was discussed for, I'd say, probably 18 months before it was enacted. The main reason for this rule change is when we have inspectors in the field going to find horses, we were having a horrible time locating them. That we would go to Cheyenne, excuse me, we would go to Cheyenne and be told, oh, I moved that horse to Riverton. And we couldn't get from Cheyenne to Riverton in the same day. And a lot of that was, this change was put in place so the commission knows exactly where these horses are, where they're supposed to be. So when we go out in the field, we can verify that they are in fact in the state of Wyoming.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. All right. Any other questions from the commission to Ms. Corden or Mr. Fromm? Okay, I don't see any hands. Nick, unless you see something, we will go to closing.
I don't see anything else.
Okay. Yes.
And just procedurally, have all of the exhibits been admitted into evidence?
The ones that I have listed, which are AA, BB, CC, and DD, and then we've admitted their exhibits A, B, and now C and D, which are the two farms. Is there any other evidence that needs to be admitted before we move on? All right. According to my list, if Ms. Corden or Mr. Fromm would like to make a closing statement, this would be the time to do it.
Yeah, I would just, again, encourage the commission to focus on the reasonableness of this. Just like Mr. Laramendi mentioned, the focus of the core rule of this program is to keep horses in Wyoming, to be able to find them in Wyoming. In this situation, the horse was not at its domicile. The horse was down the road. That's what the investigator was told. The investigator went and confirmed, was able to find the horse. So again, spirit of the law abided by. Letter of the law, yeah, there was an infraction. So I'd hope that the commission, focusing on the nuances, focusing on all this information, would make a reasonable decision that this horse never left Wyoming. It's within the program. It is a Wyoming brood mare, and there was an oversight there, and so hopefully this could be a potential teaching moment as opposed to a moment where the hammer falls hard. And so,
Thank you. Okay, Special Agent Investigator Warren, would you like to make a closing statement, please?
Thank you, President Broussard. Based on the evidence presented today, it's clear that Ms. Carden moved her horse without proper notice and was in violation of Wyoming Gaming Commission administrative rules. I would ask that you uphold the suspension.
Thank you. Moving on, at this moment, we entertain a motion to uphold the proposed suspension as set forth in notice of status change dated May 2nd.
President Broussard, Commissioner
Yes, sir.
Schiffer has just raised his hand as well.
Commissioner Schiffer, you have a question or comment before we go on?
Yes, President Broussard, would it be possible for us to go into executive session to discuss what we've learned here today?
Mr. Kaler, is that?
Mr. President, it would just depend upon the reason for the executive session. I suppose if there are questions as to interpretation of the rules or statutes or any legal advice type things.
That would be, excuse me, that would be the nature of what I would like to discuss with council.
Yeah, that would be appropriate now. We just logistically have to check with Mr. Laramendi to see if we could all get moved into a room for that executive session.
President Broussard, yeah, I can move people into the waiting room.
So I'd entertain a motion to move into executive session at this point.
Can I ask one question?
Okay.
I'm at State Fair with my daughter. She is competing today. And do you guys have a timeline on when this is? She's like standing outside the truck right now waiting to go compete. And I'm not sure what I should tell her, if I'm going to miss her runs and she should just go, or if I can do this. I don't have a spare parent, so I'm trying to do all the things today.
Yeah, I feel for you. I have no idea how long this is going to take.
So do we stay on the line when you guys are doing that? That's, I guess, my question. Or do you call us back and say, get back on? I'm just not familiar with the procedure.
Nick, is there a way to communicate with these folks?
Yeah, President Broussard, Ms. Carden, you'd be moved to a waiting room and it'll just kind of put you on hold in a room. And then as soon as we come out, it'll just bring you back into this forum that you're in now.
Okay.
My guess is it will be in between 5 and 15 minutes.
Okay. Sounds good.
So we have requesting a motion to go into executive session. Do I have a motion?
President Broussard, Dan Schiffer here, so moved.
Do I have a second? Wave your hand if you seconded it.
I'll second that.
Okay, Commissioner Cano. Okay, so any comments or questions regarding that? Moving into executive session. Not seeing any, we will. Dan, your hand's still up, but that was the previous question. Okay, you're good now. All right, so we'll call the vote. All in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
If anyone's opposed, say no. Okay, thank you, Nick. We will now go into executive session and get back with the rest of y'all when we come out the other side.
Okay, President Broussard, if you give me just a minute or two here.
Sure.
I got to step away for just a second, Mr. President. I'll be right back.
Okay,